everybody admitted, that would be perfect.
Waha.
Sounds like we have a few more people continuing to jump on here. So again, I'll just invite you to really lean into this intention for the Learning Collab today, and read through the purpose and intent of our learning collaboratives. I really like to highlight the meaningful engagement opportunities. Even though this is a webinar, we do invite participation. We'll have time for question and answer. Please do feel free to participate in the chat. And this would also be a great time to introduce yourself in the chat if you haven't, if you'd like to, you can share your organization and your name. And we'd love to see who's here in this virtual room with us today. Okay, we will keep rolling here. So, welcome to today's Learning Collaborative. And today's topic is addressing employment as a health-related social need. I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Danny LaForest, and I am the Workforce Development Liaison at Greater Health Now. And we wanted to take a moment with this topic around employment to share a little bit about the workforce development work that Greater Health Now does. So it's actually a major component of our strategic plan to focus on workforce. And in doing so, we will support and build capacity for a workforce that shares experience with priority populations. So that's a huge part of the work that I'm doing with our community-based organizations and our community-based workforce. And another branch of our workforce initiatives is to address the healthcare workforce shortage by tracking trends, supporting innovative projects, and promoting collaboration across sectors. So sort of twofold there. We're looking at a couple different workforce initiatives. So this topic is just so greatly tied to that with our wonderful employment partners from the region. And we're so excited to share with you and have our presenters share. So I'll start by sharing some learning outcomes that we've established for today's learning collaborative. And I will go ahead and just read through these. So first, we'll have you be able to identify Columbia Ability Alliance's contribution to the community through available programs and endeavors. Next, you'll hear from WorkSource Columbia Basin about their multifaceted partnership and how to refer to their service. And finally, we'll hear from Goodwill Industries of the Columbia's Mission Services branch and understand how to connect clients with them. So I am excited to introduce our first presenter, or actually first go over sort of the order of events. So we will have Columbia Ability Alliance speak first, then WorkSource Columbia Basin, and finally Goodwill Industries of the Columbia's Mission Services. So now I'm excited to introduce our first presenters from Columbia Ability Alliance. Kyle Maddox has served as the Chief Operating Officer at Columbia Ability Alliance since January of 2024. Prior to joining CAA, Kyle had a senior operational role with Goodwill Industries of Lane and South Coast counties based in Eugene, Oregon, giving him nearly 7 years in the world of supported employment and disability services. Kyle's dedication to his work is driven by his lived experience as the father of 2 autistic children, both who have been challenged by a world that struggles to understand and accept them. So really grateful to have Kyle here, and Kyle will be joined by his colleague David. David Haldeman has been the Divisional Programs Manager for Columbia Ability Alliance since April of this year. Previously, David served as an employment consultant with Columbia Ability Alliance. He holds a master's degree and has worked in the social service field for over 10 years. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kyle and David.
All right. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We always love chances to share a little bit about us and what we do. It's great to see so many folks joining us today. So you're going to roll into the slide deck, Danny? Awesome. So that's us. We are Columbia Ability Alliance, and some of you may know us as Columbia Industries. That was our name for quite a while. So if you want to go ahead and advance, we'll talk a little bit about our history. So we've been around since 1963, and we started as the United Cerebral Palsy Association of Benton and Franklin counties. And we have been serving folks with disabilities since then, and we still are. And our mission now is basically to support and empower individuals with unique abilities and life barriers to help foster their independence and to help them achieve personal success. And we do that a number of ways. Go ahead and advance. So just a little bit of our history here. So as I said, we started in 63. 1981 is when we changed our name to Columbia Industries. And then just as of this year in March, we changed our name again to Columbia Ability Alliance. And this was intentional on our part because we wanted our name to better reflect what we do. Columbia Industries, I mean, if you're not around the community, you don't know of us, we just look like a business, right? And we own businesses, but we're not a business. We're here to help, support and empower people with disabilities. And so our current name better aligns with that. We strongly believe in the abilities of everyone we serve. Columbia was kind of a nod to our last name, and then Alliance is the other critical part of that because we accomplish everything we do through partnerships and alliances with individuals and organizations in the community. So that's us. Go ahead and advance. So I'm going to just kind of talk about our programs, and then I'm going to save employment services, which is at the top of that list, and it's kind of why we're all here today. I'm going to save that for David, who actually runs the program. But those are our mission programs. We have employment services, Opportunity Kitchen, our community center, Empowerment Place Solutions, and our federal building. So go ahead and advance. So I want to start with Opportunity Kitchen. Opportunity Kitchen is a lot of fun. So for those of you who don't know, we provide food service to the federal building in Richland, and we operate the cafeteria there. And the food is phenomenal. Nicole, I think I took you there, and we both had a really excellent turkey bacon avocado sandwich, or at least I had that. I don't remember what you had, but
I had pozole, and it was quite delicious. And I did not realize that the public can go into the federal building. And I should have just went by Sharon or asked somebody else if they knew this. I just thought it was like nobody was allowed. But I recommend everyone going to check it out. It's really awesome and delicious.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, we're open there Monday through Thursday, 8 to 2, and it really is worth going through security to eat that food, and the pricing is pretty good too. So that's what we do there, but it's not why we're there. We're there to provide um, training to folks with barriers to employment, and that could be any barrier, including disability, a criminal background, mental health issues, anything like that. And so we have a good diversity in our students, and basically it's a 12-week training program where we teach, as our executive chef Derek says, we teach them knife skills and life skills. So go ahead and advance, Danny. So as I said, it's a 12-week training program. Derek Smith is our executive chef, and he leads the program. He also manages the kitchen, and he comes up with our menu. So we provide basically we prepare folks for careers in the hospitality industry. So we teach them front of the house and back of the house. They get experience with customer service. They get experience with in the kitchen with culinary skills, and the chef does a great job getting them ready for careers in that industry. So they get hands-on experience. We give them a certification at the end. They get and then when they complete the program, we help them find jobs. So we give them job seeking assistance, and we also teach them life skills. So just basic stuff like managing money, how to dress for an interview, that type of thing. One of our employment services folks goes over there a couple hours a day and does like a life skills session. So it's a great program. Our students really benefit from it. Several former students are employees of ours right now, including Christy, the executive chef, or the sous chef over there. Um, she went through our program a while back and ended up getting employed with us. And now I feel like every time we have a special event over there, and chef brings out something. Last time it was meatloaf, and it was excellent. I don't usually get excited about meatloaf, but this was good stuff. And he's like, yeah, this was all Christy. So it's really cool. We love Opportunity Kitchen. One other note on that, we also do contract meals and catering out of there. We do big and small. We actually served meals to the Dust Devils for their homestands this last season, which was a really big deal. And yeah, we do small and medium-sized catering. So if you have a need for catering, check us out. Go ahead and advance, Danny. So next is our community center. This is kind of like the gem of who we are, because it's you can walk in the community center at any given time and it's going to put you in a better mood. I whenever I'm feeling stressed, I walk over there just for a pick me up. So community center, it's a day respite program. It's a place for individuals with developmental disabilities to go and have a place to be, so that their care providers can have respite. But we really believe it's our responsibility to not just be a safe place to go and like sit at a table and color, but to actually enhance their lives. And so we do that a number of ways. We really try to do skill building with them. So we teach them, we do cooking classes, um, and then we teach them about I think we had like a National Geographic thing we were doing for a while, teaching them. We had like a topic of the week. It's just stuff like that to really try to enhance their knowledge. And then we do all kinds of fun activities. Community engagement is a big part of it. We don't want them just to come to the center and stay at the center. We want to get them out in the community. So every Friday we go do something. We have a standing every other week thing with the library, which they really enjoy. But then on the off Fridays from that, we take them and go do something else. You name it, we've probably done it. Well, last Friday we took them to Starbucks, which I wish I had joined them for that, but I was not available. But we took them to the Halloween store before Halloween. That was super fun. What else? We took during the summer. We took them. There's like kind of a water park thing down the road where they went and ran through like sprinklers and stuff. And that's another one I wish I had joined them for. But we do all kinds of fun stuff. We do Saturday activities, usually a couple times a month. We'll do a Saturday activity. We've taken them to the planetarium at CBC, to a Dust Devils game, uh, taking them mini golfing, bowling. Just we really try to give them a great experience, and they love it. They love being there. Um, they love each other. They love us, and it's just super fun. It's a great group of folks, and our staff there really cares about what they do, and it's our mission this year to kind of light that on fire and make it even more fun and exciting than it is now. And we just hired a new community center manager who started 2 days ago. She has activities director experience and is going to do exactly what we hope what we want her to do. She's super fired up. Her name's Tiffany. So if anybody has not seen our community center, hit me up. We'll give you a tour. It's super fun. If you ever want to just go and smile for a while, that's the place to be. Go ahead and advance the slide, Danny. I pretty much covered everything I think on this slide. Yeah, that's another thing. Adaptive fitness programs. We have a couple of different groups. I think Tri-Cities Edge has been in doing a gymnastics thing. We've done yoga in the past. We every Wednesday we have a music company come in and they do like drum circle. So it's gets pretty loud and fun in there on Wednesdays. So yeah, love the community center. Go ahead and advance. So solutions it's a part of the community center. There's a room in the back of our community center where we produce welding hoods for the naval base in Bremerton. This is a contract that we got through Source America, which is an organization that connects nonprofits with government contracts as a means to employ people with disabilities. So we actually have some of our clients clock in. We pay a minimum wage to produce these hoods. And if you want to go ahead and advance, get just some details on that. So yeah, we do quite a big number of these hoods. So it says here over 50,000 hoods annually. That's going way up. In fact, I think our last order was 50,000 hoods. We had to do that in like 2 months, so it's getting nuts back there. But it's great because it gives our folks a chance to actually get some job skills and work. I mean, it's a job, and it also gets us revenue to help subsidize that community center. So you can go
Well,
ahead
I'm
and
just going to interject real fast and say I've had an opportunity to actually see the hoods being made. And it is so exciting to see how fulfilling it is for these people with disabilities to actually be manufacturing a very necessary product.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, it's great. They love doing it, and we love having that chance to employ people, and so it's really a win-win for everybody. And we even have, I believe, David will correct me later if I'm wrong, but we have, I think, some School of Work students working there now too. So it's really great to have that chance to employ people. All right, go ahead and advance. Another contract that we got through Source America is our federal building Ability One contract. So not only do we have our Opportunity Kitchen out at the federal building, but we also do their janitorial. We provide their janitorial services and their grounds maintenance. And we've been doing that for a long time. And I'm telling you, this team here, they're pictured right here. They do a phenomenal job. That is, and I'm not just saying this because I work here, but that is one of the cleanest buildings I've ever been in. When Justin Saltz, he's the guy he's got the orange shirt in the back there, not the one without the hat. He leads that program. He's the divisional manager for that contract, and he also leads Opportunity Kitchen and mobile janitorial crew. And he's been with us for 17 years, and he has a disability himself. His entire team they all have disabilities. He was somebody who, as we see so often with the folks we serve, was kind of overlooked. when he was young and trying to get into the workforce. And so he benefited from employment services way back then. And he was one of our clients and ended up working for us and then worked his way up. He's now a divisional manager, runs 3 programs, and I I don't know what I'd do without him. Like he's awesome. And so just a great success story there. And we just got awarded, we literally, I just found out this morning, we got this award. It's like an excellence award from Source America for the work we do at the federal building. So super cool stuff. And the Ability One contracts are great because it's not something that goes out for bid. Once you have it, you have it, as long as you're continuing to perform the work. So that's why we've been able to keep it for so long. And it definitely is fully paid for. It's not one of those programs we have to subsidize, which is wonderful. So yeah, they just do such great work out there. And go ahead and advance. We'll get to a detail slide here and we'll see if I remembered everything. Yeah, so we have 16 folks on that team. All but maybe 1 or 2, I think one of the supervisors and maybe one other don't have disabilities, but the rest of them do. And yeah, we provide janitorial, trash removal, recycling, carpet cleaning, floor waxing, pest management, lawn and landscaping maintenance, and snow and ice removal. And yeah, it's just great. Like I get emailed the quality reports from um, the guy who runs the building, and it's like every time it's like yes or no. I think on these quality things, it's always yes, 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 yes. Like they just do such good work out there. Go ahead and advance. All right, so wait, now we get to the fun part. So this is employment services. We consider this our flagship program, and it's why we're here today. This is really the topic of the Learning Collaborative, and we've been doing employment services in some form or fashion for the entire 60 years we've been around. Before I turn it over to David, I just can't speak enough on the importance of this work, because we believe here that everybody is employable, and if anybody wants to work, they should be able to work. And what we run into is sometimes somebody won't believe in themselves until we tell them, hey, you can do it. It's been fairly common. We'll have people go to our community center and we'll ask them, hey, have you ever thought about working? And they're, it's really sad when you hear I can't work. And you hear that. And it's like, no, you can. And we will help you. And sometimes their parents don't believe in them, the caregivers don't believe in them. So we really have a tough job because we have to get them to believe in themselves. We have to get the parents to believe in them, and then we have to get the community to believe in them. And that's what our folks do in our employment services department, is they get everybody to believe. And we do that a number of ways. And I'm going to turn it over to David now, who is our wonderful divisional manager over that program. And he's going to talk more in depth on employment services.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. Like Kyle said, my name's David Haldeman. I'm the Divisional Programs Manager, and I oversee employment services here at Columbia Ability Alliance. Kind of like Kyle said, here at Columbia Ability Alliance, we do believe that everyone is employable. But Danny, if I can share my screen really fast, I want to kind of share a quick little video on a success story that we had, and can talk more about it after. Awesome. So let me share my screen.
Xander, as a young
Really quickly. Okay. I will let you guys Can you guys see my screen? Okay, here we go.
Boy was a very meek and quiet kid. We had him checked, had him tested, and realized he was on the autism spectrum. He spoke, but very minimally, and very soft and mild kid. So as Alex moved towards his senior year in high school,
and then we learned about the school to work program. We sat with his IEP and identified or came to know about Columbia Industries in the Tri-Cities. So as we stayed in communication, with CI, we learned about the program of Opportunity Kitchen. And so I was like, hey, you want to try this? Well, learn how to bake and learn how to do recipes. And so he was like reluctant, but we got him into the program. And once he started, we saw him starting to blossom, starting to speak more.
Well, at the Opportunity Kitchen, I met named Chef Derek. He showed me a lot of experience of knife skills, and they cook and bake. And I do knife skills like cutting like small dice, medium dice, big dice, and juliennes.
When I first got him on my caseload, he was very quiet and really reserved, and we worked on opening up, and now Alex has just blossomed into a young man with a job. And every time I check in on him at Wingstop, I'm hearing positive feedback from the owners about his work performance and how grateful they are for him.
Actually, David came to me, and I happened to be talking about how my arm was hurting from cutting potatoes. And he said, I have a boy for you. And I said, you do? He just graduated from Opportunity Kitchen. I think you should talk to him. And he brought him in with his parents. We sat down and talked a little bit, and Alex was just immediately, I was like, this is a fit.
When he met the staff, we met the owners, it was warm and welcoming, so his mother and I just didn't have any no second thoughts. To me, it was divine for us. It was meant to happen.
Well, it's my dream job to go here. It's kind of really exciting to work here. So, I get paid every 2 weeks.
When my son says, hey, Dad, I work just like you, hey, Dad, when I watch him mimic me. I can't put it in words. I love him. He's great. Great. Very proud.
Okay. So Danny, if you want to pull the slide deck back up. So kind of talking back on Alex's story, when he entered the program, he was very shy and very reserved. He has since then has been able to gain those social skills. So now he talks a lot more and in interacting with his coworker. He started out just cutting potatoes. He now does every single job and in the restaurant, including taking customers' orders. He has since then graduated the employment support program, and he has also obtained his driver's license. And kind of in the slide deck, you can kind of see that our staff care. We're here for our clients. You can see on this picture of the individual sitting down with the lady behind her desk. They're working on what's called benefits planning to make sure that we're not going over resources. And if we are, what are our options that happens? So now I kind of want to take a deeper dive into the programs that we offer through employment services. So go ahead and that next slide. So we currently have 4 different programs in our employment department. So we have a contract with Developmental Disabilities Administration, Foundational Community Supports, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and our in-house school to work here in Benton Franklin County. And now I do know other counties do have their own school to work program, but this one is our own in-house. So if we want to go to that next slide, I'll kind of talk about each program or contract and what it kind of entails. So with developmental disabilities, what qualifies for an individual to get those developmental disability administration services? Well, they have to have a developmental disability, receiving services from DDA, and diagnosed before the age of 18. So when they enter it's called individual employment through DDA, when they enter this program, we're helping them with many different skill sets in here. Rather that be job carving, where we're going out to an employer and talking to the employer to create that position. Maybe the employer's busy and not able to do a couple of tasks, and I go up there and I talk to them and say, hey, you know what? We have an individual that, that you don't like wiping down the tables, or you don't have time to that, or you don't have time to go sort the mail. We have an individual that is able to do that for you. And so kind of working with other community partners to build that rapport with them. We work on them with job skills. So this entails a lot of things. Rather than be that we're going through an office or the office completing a task list, maybe we're working on our social skills that day so that we can interact with our coworkers. So they're coming in and maybe they're going to the office and they're working to introduce themselves to new people, or getting that help with like their resume building and getting that help with being able to prepare for that interview. We do mock interviews. That kind of falls under our job development piece, where we are helping them with that resume building. We're helping them get prepared for that interview. We're helping them apply for jobs. We at Columbia Ability Alliance believe that the client should be a part of their journey. So we have them do every single step along with us. And so with that, once they've obtained employment, what we do is we do job coaching. So we ensure that not only the client's getting that support, but the employer's getting that support as well. So what that entails is, like, maybe a client has a test or an assessment coming up for their employer that's yearly, one of their yearly trainings. And maybe the employment specialist will go out and help maybe read the questions to the individual to help them with that. And then when we go into our next program, so if you go into the next slide there, we have our foundational community support program. And with that, they have to have state insurance, be 16 years of age or older, and one of the following: a mental illness or substance use disorder or a co-occurring condition, or receive long-term or in-home care with complex needs, or have some kind of behavioral health challenges. With our foundational community support program, you're getting individualized job coaching and training. So like I was saying earlier, everything here is client-centered. So no one's going to receive that same support that they need. Everyone's going to be individual in the support needs that they need. So with that, they get job coaching and training on top of job development, where we're helping them apply for those jobs, and we're helping them maybe with their interview skills. And we're helping them with their employer relations. So maybe that's just like, maybe they're having a tough time like communicating with their manager. How do we help assist get them to that key point there? Now going into our next program, our Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Program. And one of the qualifications for this is they have a physical or mental disability that has some kind of barrier to employment. We do a wide range of things under this contract. We do individual learning skills. So that could be, maybe we have an individual that needs assistance with learning the bus route. Maybe it's budgeting. Maybe it's social skills. We assist the client with obtaining that goal. Work-based learning is a great program for them to get in and gain those skills that they need in a field that they want to thrive in. So they're on Columbia Ability Alliance payroll for 6 weeks. And all the employer does up then is they just fill out an assessment saying, hey, you know what? Johnny showed up to work on time. Johnny was punctual. And what were some of the barriers that he experienced while he was there? We work on job placement, so that job development piece of that is we're helping them again, mock interviews, and doing those preparing for the interview, resume building, and helping them apply for jobs. And then after they get placed in a job, what we do is called job retention. So we're doing follow-along services for 90 days after they get employed so that they have that support that they need with their starting off. And then what could happen is they go into intensive training, which is a little bit longer of a program where they're getting that additional support that's needed. Community-based assessments is a great way. Maybe this is an individual that is just graduated high school, no work experience. And so they don't know what field they want to go into, what they want to do. So they're going out and they're obtaining that a 2-week job essentially where they're working with an employer on maybe it's a grocery store and they're wanting to do courtesy clerk and they're testing it out for 2 weeks where they're on again, Columbia Ability Alliance's payroll. But what happens is at the end, the employer fills out that assessment piece of that. Going into our next slide, we have our school to work program. And so what this is it's our own inter-house school to work program. So what we do is we take and we partner with some of the school districts here in Benton and Franklin counties. And what we do is we take and provide these with the transition students is anyone that's graduated high school and is staying in high school until they're 22 years of age. What they do is they go to the school for roughly about 45 minutes-ish. And then what they do is they go out to a work site for a semester, but every month, let's say they're doing like a restaurant field. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on maybe this month we're going to do food prep. Maybe next month we're going to work on front of house, and it just continues. And then after that semester's up, we find them in different placement out in the community. And what this is really doing is it's helping the individuals with job training and that job development piece to help them get ready for work. It's teaching them how to be on time, how to fill out time cards. And so, yeah, just keeping that in mind that we're there to help support them. They're getting that support. So they're learning that employment piece. They're learning that maybe it's when they're at the school, they're learning how to build their resume. So then they're coming to us so that they can put that on their resume skills. And then our next thing that I want to talk about that I oversee is our empowerment place, which is an inter-house resource center. Here you can kind of see some of the things we do. We did a hygiene product. We paired up with some credit unions in the area and we kind of created hygiene products. And then going into the next slide there. So what our empowerment place does is it does a wide range of things. We help people with filling out the food stamp application because that can be a dreadful experience sometimes, especially with all the wording. And if you apply for one, then and you don't check a service that you already are getting, then that can do away with the other service when you submit that new one. So we want to make sure that they're getting everything that they're doing to get their food stamps. What this entails, though, is it really helps with a lot of different things. So maybe we have an individual that has that doesn't have interview clothes. We assist them with getting that. Or maybe we have someone from the street walk in and say, you know what, I don't have any hygiene products. We have hygiene products here on site that we've actually have given out to individuals out in the community. But with that being said, I'm going to hand it back over to Kyle Maddox. And yeah.
Thank you, David. Fun little fact about David. I'm sure you saw in that video he shared. David used to be an employment consultant for us. And he was the one who provided services to Alex and did a phenomenal job. And then he left. And I struck gold when he decided to come back and manage the program. And he's really made it sing. So thank you, David. Go ahead and advance the slide. I just want to wrap it up just by briefly touching on the social enterprise aspect of what we do. So we, as I mentioned at the beginning, we do own businesses. And this really uniquely positions us to be able to subsidize our programs and stay financially healthy, and gives us opportunities to grow and have a higher level of talent and executive leadership and that type of thing. So it's an important part of what we do. I'll briefly mention the three. So we have CI Information Management, formerly known as CI Shred. We started that business, and we have a pretty good market share in all of Eastern Washington, all the way over to Wenatchee. We go as far north as the Canadian border, and we get down into some parts of northeastern Oregon as well. And we provide on-site document destruction. We also do digital destruction, hard drive destruction, and we're working on getting into our kind of a full IT asset disposition setup. So more to come on that, but they do great work. And then we have Roundtable Pizzas. So all 4 Tri-Cities locations, 2 in Richland, 1 in Kennewick, 1 in Pasco. It's great pizza. We roll the dough fresh. So if you, and if lunch specials are awesome, really good lunch pricing. So if you haven't been to Roundtable for lunch, check it out. And then Paradise Bottled Water, where we offer distilled and purified water at 3 and 5 gallons for kind of the office dispenser setup. And then we do 16.9 ounce bottles, including custom labels. So if you ever want your label on a bottle, let us know. We just hired a new GM for Paradise, started a few weeks ago. He's doing a lot of great things and gonna improve an already great business. So those are our 3 businesses. And we're always looking for new and different things to do too. So can't wait to see what the future holds for that. Go ahead and advance. There's just some fun pictures. We're always having fun here at CAA. And advance one more time. And that's it. There's the ending slide. We made it. So thank you all for being here and giving us a chance to talk about us. And I can't wait to hear from the other presenters.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kyle and David. We really appreciate it. We do have time here for a question or two. If anyone has one, you can either put it in the chat, raise your hand, or unmute. Nicole, is that a hand or applause?
I mean, whatever. I'm all about my hands. That was actually an applause. I really appreciate it. Coming from a world of doing direct services, particularly with like housing as like a client advocate or a case manager, I appreciate you touching on the piece of kind of managing, individuals' finances, because sometimes that did come up of like, oh, if I apply for this or if I make a certain money, it was the fear of losing certain benefits or how to navigate that. And it's really important to have somebody to help kind of work through that stuff and help kind of understand how benefits work and how everything kind of calculates out. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see Sharon, your hand.
Thanks. I am just so passionate about the work that you all do, having had the opportunity to walk alongside a lot of the people that work for the organization. It is so rewarding to just see how fulfilled those individuals are and the families of those individuals. So thanks so much for all that you do. It's truly just so heartwarming to see it in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And it's true. I'm glad you said that, because we really have a team of people who are passionate about the work. And it's really, really great to be a part of. Everybody from our CEO on down, we care about our work, we care about our clients, and we view it as not just a job, but a responsibility. So thank you.
Yes, mad respect for your CEO as well. He's all awesome.
Yeah, we all love Michael, and I think everybody here probably knows him because he knows everybody on the planet.
Okay, great. Well, we will keep rolling. Bill, if you have a question percolating at the back of your mind, like I do, we will have some time at the very end to ask questions to all of our presenters. So we'll keep rolling, and I'll introduce our next presenter. Crystal Bright is the WorkSource System Coordinator at WorkSource Columbia Basin. She is an inclusive leader with over 15 years of leadership experience across a diverse set of industries, including education, hospitality, financial services, and developmental behavioral therapy. Through each of these roles, she has maintained a commitment to customer-centric practices and partnership, resulting in quality services that exceed expectations. She has spent the last 7 years in workforce development, working with a talented team that unites business and job seekers so they may be self-sufficient. So I'm so excited to welcome Crystal. I will let you unmute and take it away.
Thank you, Danny. And before we get started, I just wanted to say great presentation, Kyle and David. Super excited about the relationship that we are building to serve our community members, and also looking forward to the presentation with Goodwill and deepening our partnership with you as well. There's a lot of great things happening, and hopefully what you hear through this presentation is that there's a lot of complementary things that we can do together. And so for those that are on the call, and there's a really good group, nice to meet you. And yeah, if you have questions as we go, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm open to that. But with that, we'll go ahead and jump in. So by a show of hands, and I know I can't see everyone, how many of you have been to WorkSource or are familiar with WorkSource? I see Sharon's hand right away. Awesome. Perfect. So I'm hoping that this isn't too repetitive for what you already know, but I would also like to take the opportunity today to really be able to share out who we are, what we do, the value add for the community, how to connect with us, and hopefully do a little bit of myth busting while we're at it, because I think that WorkSource has some myths tied to it. So with that, WorkSource Columbia Basin is the local American Job Center under the American Job Center Network, which is nationwide. Centers like ours exist across our country, but in Washington, we're called WorkSource. Next slide, please. This is me. I'm going to leave this slide and go to the next one, but that way afterwards, if you have questions or you want to reach out, please do. So one of the biggest questions we get is really, what is WorkSource? The reality is WorkSource is a brand. By itself, just a brand. What is unique about us is who is here and who is part of our partnership. And that includes both state, local, nonprofit agencies, and education. So serving businesses and job seekers. Next slide. So here in WorkSource Columbia Basin, we have formal partnership and then we have complementary partnership. When we talk about the formal partnership, and I know the logos are tiny, we currently have 9 partners within the WorkSource Columbia Basin partnership. So we serve Benton and Franklin counties, and in our area, which is one of 12 across the state, this partnership is unique. And I bring that up because we are really charged to serve customers who historically have not received services or who may be considered, and I don't like this phrase, but harder to serve or most in need. So that could include individuals with disabilities, migrant seasonal farm workers, seniors, those that are under or unemployed, and the list goes on. I bring that up because this partnership was created to really, well, there is a law we're working under and some of these partners are mandated, but it's by design. And then we have additional partners to make sure that we are serving this community here in Benton and Franklin counties. I want to point out really quick myth busting. You'll see Employment Security Department on this list. That is one of the biggest questions we get is, are you the unemployment office? We're not. We're the reemployment office, but our team members work closely with customers to help them with their reemployment goals. And sometimes those services are required in order to continue receiving benefits. So it gets kind of tricky, but wanted to call that out while we're at it. And you'll also see there are partners here that are serving some of our community members that I called out, for example, DVR and DSB. I'm serving our customers with disabilities. And I want to be really clear, just because an agency's here doesn't mean that we don't all serve that customer. We just have those specialized skills that are available. Another example is OIC of Washington, and then with Employment Security Department, being able to serve national farm workers, migrant and seasonal farm workers, et cetera, and also veterans. That is a large part of our focus as well. Next slide. So what we do, all of the words on the screen to say that our goal is to unite businesses and job seekers so they can be self-sufficient. Employment is really our North Star or our gold star of where we're shooting for. But here within the office, we like to talk about our real goal being helping folks get out of generational poverty. That is our main goal at WorkSource Columbia Basin, and doing that through employment and training services. Next slide. So I've put our menu of services up here just as kind of a title page. We have two customers here at WorkSource, business and job seekers. And I know a lot of the focus and conversation is often around job seekers. And the reality is, without our local businesses driving demand and being able to connect the two, we don't have economic health. And so really looking to our local businesses to determine what the training needs are, what the employment needs are, and then looking to our labor force and how we're able to help them to be able to find the career that's a good fit for them and help them scale up if needed. Next slide. So there are multiple layers, if you will, of service. I'm not going to call them levels because we usually think of a checklist and that someone has to progress. The services that we provide are really driven by our customers. Our number one goal is to make sure that they are informed on what's available to them and then help them to connect with the options that they decide are the best choice for them. So I chose to put up our WorkSource Washington website first because it is a little bit more on that self-serve level or light touch for staff assistance. And that is one layer of service. And as we progress through, you'll see that there are increasingly intensive or more assistive layers as well. Job search is that's what WorkSource Washington's designed for. It's a place where folks can do a job search, go ahead and load up any documents they might have for that job search, find additional information, build a resume, access workshops and job fair information and things like that. I do want to highlight, this is not just a job seeker webpage. This is also a business webpage. And through both the job match and the business side, we're able to connect folks and actually empower our local businesses to increase their applicant pool through the website and being able to access. And we'll go in more into that a little bit later. So next slide. So what do we actually do at WorkSource? I know there's that menu of services, but what does that look like day to day? There, again, through each of these services that are outlined are multiple layers of either self-serve all the way to consultation. And so today I just wanted to touch on career assessments, which many folks don't know that we offer, labor market information, which is a key part of the work that we do in connecting employers and employers and job seekers, and then workshops and one-on-ones. Next slide. So we recognize that it's imperative as we're working with customers that we're helping them to identify what career is going to serve them, what's going to be the best fit if we're looking, especially long-term. We recognize there's survival jobs or those stepping stone jobs, and then we've also got long-term or more stable career options. And so helping them either through self-serve, consultation, or somewhere in between to identify what's going to be a good fit for them. So that's really focusing on interests, skills, preferences, and then of course values. Do their values match the employer that they're applying to work with. I do want to call out that we do have some formal assessments that are consultation. All of these services, by the way, are at no cost, similar to what our friends with CAA have shared. And so Myers-Briggs type indicator, World of Work inventory, these are assessments that typically retail for more than $100 for someone to sign up on their own. We don't charge for them. A customer walks through those steps. It's a little bit more lengthy, but then they have a consultation with a specialist at the end, which is one of our team members, to go through some of those career recommendations, talk through labor market, and all of those pieces. So huge value add. And then kind of the elephant in the room that I think has to be called out is that as we look at our population decline and that labor force cliff, and having folks that are joining us from other countries or maybe not having work experience, or students, it's really, really important that we're acknowledging folks' lived experience and how those are applicable to the workforce. Not only just to be able to fill those positions, but also to fulfill someone's potential and really be able to bring everything that they are to the table. So Whole Story is one of those platforms that we've used. So next slide. All right, so labor market information, I'm not going to dig a lot into this, but if you're not familiar with labor market information, I just wanted to really highlight this is one of the key drivers in helping folks to be able to identify, is what I want to do for a living reasonable? Are there jobs? If I'm really serious about this, what do I need to do to be prepared? What kind of training do I need? How much does it pay? Is it going to help me to get to a self-sustainable wage? And so labor market is a key part of the work that we do here. We are always happy if you're interested or you're connecting someone to go over one-on-one with them. It can feel like a lot, but it's super important to look into, and we've got a few different options. The other piece of this is that tools like ONET Online have jobs and descriptions, and they're really great for pulling for resumes. So if you know of anyone that's kind of struggling to figure out that language, it's a good way to do that. The other piece that I wanted to put out there, in case there's interest, or if maybe you're an entrepreneur or know someone or a business, we have a local labor market economist that provides consultations at no cost. So if someone's looking to figure out what's a competitive wage, some of those questions too, that is something that we can connect you to. Next slide. All right, so as I mentioned, we have different layers of service. We have that self-serve or light touch. We also offer group services through workshop formats. Since COVID, we've really stepped into, this century, which is great with technology. And our workshops are available. We have combinations of in-person and virtual, in-person or virtual, and it's really increased the access for folks. So you can see on the screen, and I'm not going to read through it, some of the different options that we offer. I really want to highlight the sector-based workshops, which are new for us. Those are based on occupations that are in demand in our local region. They have a high level of positions that are available, and to get into that occupation or that sector requires minimal or low levels of training. And the reason that we targeted that is based on the resources that we're able to provide and being able to connect business and job seekers. So this sector-based workshop is really, it's really neat because it includes what is the day in the life of for someone, what are some of the questions or things that they should be considering. So it could be applicable for someone that's not sure if they want to go into that line of work. For those that are ready to go into that line of work, we have a training provider there and a business to ask questions to, learn more about the different training requirements. And then if they're ready to apply, what does successful application and interviewing look like, for example? So those are pretty cool. And we do, you'll see a little bit later what those specific sectors are that we're focused on. That doesn't mean that we don't serve businesses that don't fit in that little box though. So I want to be really clear about that. Next slide. I did include this in the slide deck. I won't go super in depth, but I wanted you to have access because I think that strategies for success is one of our underutilized resources that customers love. This is different than a resume workshop because it's not skills-based. This is based on the whole human in front of us. And so beyond just work, what does it look like to create a community of learners and folks that are engaging? For example, we have folks that come through that have been employed with an employer for 20 years and they're laid off. And now their complete and total identity is up in the air, right? Like, who am I without being this person at this job? And so this has been a big key and a big community builder for folks to say, okay, I'm not alone. And I get to take a breath and come back and do a little bit of self-reflection as well about who I am, what I want, and what's best for me next. So if you'll advance the slides, there are 3 that go over the topics. So of course, work concepts, that's a thing. But then health and well-being, what does stress management look like? Self-reflection, goal setting, kind of that new beginning. Next slide. Of course, communication, revisiting that. Maybe someone has been in that role for 20 years and now they're brand new. Like, what does the new landscape look like in communication? And on the last slide, there was like resume building, that kind of thing. It's kind of like going back to the drawing table. Like, things have changed over the course of 20 years and the landscape looks so different. Then how do we help equip them? Personal strengths. Next slide. Community engagement, including what might it look like to take a breath and volunteer, get some new work experience in a different setting or even a different industry. If somebody's looking at switching things up, how do we prepare them? Or even if they're looking at going into the same industry. And then of course, a second work concept module around working with the team and that sort of thing. I do want to point out, this is a 6-week workshop series. The workshops are 4 days a week. They're Monday through Thursday. It is a time commitment. The good news is that folks can jump in. They don't have to take the modules in order. They can usually join even if it's the second day of the week, if need be, and really work with the facilitator. So there's some flexibility, but I would highly encourage, if you're finding that you're talking with someone and they're not quite sure what they want to do, that they start here. Next slide. All right. So I did put in a quick teaser around the WorkSource Washington website. Sometimes it's a little hard to find those workshops and hiring events, but there are quite a few tabs. And so just a quick pointer to that. Across those tabs, there are a ton of resources in there. If you ever need help navigating or anything like that, that's where our next slide comes in. Oh, and I skipped it. Okay, well, one-on-ones, I did want to point out that we have some more in-depth services. We have a front-end service team that's really the heartbeat of WorkSource. They greet folks, do an initial triage. They also offer one-on-one services, including registration to that WorkSource Washington, one-on-one resume, job search and application, and also interview prep and things like that. So if somebody is wanting some help learning that WorkSource website, then we're here for that too. The other piece of this as we get in is education and training. We know that the folks walking through our doors beyond that application process might need some additional education and training. And that can look anything like maybe getting a GED or high school diploma in order to be more competitive. It's alarming. I will just share this. We're in peak unemployment season here in Benton and Franklin counties. And the number of folks who are typically unemployed during this season have less than a high school diploma. So those folks are most impacted in our area and more likely to be on unemployment annually. And so our goal is to be able to get people connected with the education that is needed to help get them out of poverty and maintain employment, of course. And we know that education also leads to higher paying jobs. That doesn't always have to be traditional. So when we look at adult basic education, or digital literacy, something that's a little bit more self-paced or short-term. We also offer self-serve through LinkedIn Learning, short-term trainings and certs, and so on. So if we can go to the next slide. I wanted to highlight our partnership with Columbia Basin College, which it goes way, way, way back, and share with you, in case you weren't aware, that we are offering ESL classes here on site in partnership with Columbia Basin College, as well as GED High School Plus. So with that, if you have folks, please connect them to me. We also have some flexibility around doing GED Academy online, but all of these are based around what we're hearing from the community around what their need is. So super important. And if you're hearing things, please reach out to me. Oh, go ahead. Next up, and you didn't see Goodwill on our wheel, but Goodwill is one of our wonderful partners here in Benton and Franklin counties. We have recently, in the last, well, it's been a little over a year, started offering digital literacy classes here on site, and Goodwill sends out an instructor. They are absolutely amazing. They offer a basics and then an intermediate class on Wednesdays. So you can see kind of an example of what that looks like. And this is another area of need that we've identified in the community around, career success and that sort of thing. So next slide. I'm looking at the clock, sorry. I don't mean to talk so fast. We also offer LinkedIn Learning licenses at no cost. This is a really great tool if you have folks that are interested in learning and they're very self-motivated and they can do some of those self-paced things. We recognize it's not a tool for everyone, but if you're curious about it or you have someone, connect them with us. It's a little bit like a big blue ocean, so we can work with them to narrow down the kinds of skills they're looking for and recommend classes as well, so it's not quite as overwhelming. Next slide. And then, of course, through some of our case managed services and our work with Columbia Basin College and WSU Tri-Cities, we also didn't see on the wheel, but as part of our partnership, there are a number of short-term trainings and certifications that we can help get people connected to, and in some cases, help pay for. So a lot of that does require eligibility. I do want to give a shout out to our partners with Three Rivers Community Foundation. We did recently apply for a grant and were awarded dollars to be able to provide support services for customers who aren't eligible for a program, or maybe they can return to work tomorrow. So too short term for us to enroll them, but they just need a pair of boots. It's the worst thing ever to send someone away when that's all they need. That's the only thing standing between them and employment. So with those dollars, we'll be able to do things like that. Next slide. We also offer work-based learning opportunities. Again, these often require eligibility, which just a fancy word for saying is someone needing more intensive services, and can we connect them with a case manager that's able to then look at their career goals long-term and connect them. So here are some of the examples. Next slide. And thanks, Nicole. And then, of course, apprenticeship opportunities. You saw Libra and Industries on the wheel with us. We have an amazing case manager that is, most of her work is supporting workers who have been injured on the job and are no longer able to return to that line of work. But we also, of course, are part of the broader LNI network, including connecting people to apprenticeships. Our migrant seasonal farm worker outreach specialist works closely with LNI in order to help also with workers' rights. We also assist employers with some of the new laws and regulations through our work with LNI and partner in those ways and others. So awesome partnership. Next slide. And then last but certainly not least, probably the primary, as I mentioned, is business solutions. We have a team of folks from across the partnership who have come together in order to serve local business and ensure that at any cycle or any part of the business cycle, they have what they need. So it could be a startup and we're at a ribbon cutting and finding out what their initial needs are. It could be assisting with recruitment for just general jobs, large numbers of jobs, hard to fill jobs, anything like that. Or it could be, sadly, folks who maybe are going through a rough time and aren't sure if they're going to be able to stay open, and working with our partners at ESD, not on site, but for business friendly programs. So for a business who maybe can't afford to keep their staff on, they could look at potentially going part-time work and part-time unemployment benefits. And I think that that is one of the best kept secrets in our state, is there is a way to keep our businesses open. And then of course there's worst case scenario, like we've seen with Lamb Weston. So with some of the big layoffs and having a rapid response team that now goes out and wraps around those job seekers who are looking at transitioning, and working with the business to meet need, make sure that financially they've got unemployment information set up, and then, you know, after that, being able to share some of the services that they qualify for and educational opportunities. Next slide. Oh, weird. I did throw in just really quickly a reminder with the business side of WorkSource. We use Monster as part of our backbone, and it has this really cool sixth sense technology. And so businesses who create a profile can actually go in and, I'm going to call it shop for. I know that's probably not the nicest term, but go through and do candidate selection. So for folks that have a public resume, if they're a good choice or good fit, excuse me, not good choice, good fit, strike that from the record, then they can go ahead and reach out directly to that job seeker and say, hey, I have this opportunity. So not only does it help expand the applicant pool, but it also puts more of the control of reaching out and accessing that candidate pool in the hands of local business. Next slide. And I do want to highlight just really quick that there are some really cool filtering tools on here. And when I say that, being able, for example, to find veterans or other workers that are highly sought after. We do have some veteran-friendly employers in the area who recognize the value of hiring veterans and are able then to, for example, be able to go out and find them and offer them positions. So, and I think the next one's the last slide. We're right at time. I know that's a lot of information and I'm hopeful that it was useful. I think there's a lot of things that we offer that folks aren't aware of. And I welcome you to reach out to me anytime. I would love to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Crystal. And we do have a little bit of flexibility in our schedule if anyone has a question or two or a comment.
I'm giving a polite pause for other people to speak, but I definitely will jump in. I appreciate what you talked about at the beginning on how to kind of incorporate lived experience into a resume and explaining kind of who you are and kind of some of your strengths. So I appreciate that you offer that because I know it is kind of hard to put into words for, you know, some folks, and just a wonderful thing. And then so much of your identity comes from the work that you do. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. But I did have a question about, so like the layoff outreach, you guys do outreach when there's announcements being made in the community about a large organization such as the one that, you know, happened a few months ago out of Connell. Like you guys kind of catch wind of that, or someone reaches out to you and then you offer services?
Well, so there are, depending on company size and layoffs, there is a requirement under federal policy. It's called a warn notice. And so we receive those. But we also have an extensive network through the community. And so we learn about the onesies and twosies as well. People reach out to us. And so working directly with the business and having that open dialogue. I'll be completely honest. When I started 7 years ago, we were very transactional, and we have worked really hard to be customer centric and make sure that the interactions we have are meaningful and that we're building relationships. And that's created an opportunity for businesses to be a little bit more open about what they're experiencing and be able to say, hey, this is happening, and to come to us and say, how can we work together, and more willingness than, of course, to support the job seeker, even though for the business, they could just kind of wash their hands of it, right? For being honest. So I appreciate that. I do want to highlight, based on what you were saying around lived experience, that one of our other partners we've been working closely with, especially with the increase of asylees, refugees, and immigrants in our area, is World Relief, and being able to figure out some of those business relationships too for hiring folks who English isn't their first language, or they may not speak much of it. And so that's a real thing in our area as well, and a lot of flexibility and a lot of partnership happening around that. Thanks,
That's
Nicole.
great. Sunday, I see your hand.
I was just wondering what counties that you guys have an actual work source site where people can go to.
So if you go to the WorkSource Washington website, worksourcewa.com, there's a location finder there. And so depending on where someone is, they can go ahead and look up there. That's probably the easiest way. As I mentioned, there's 12 different areas, and each area is required to have at least one. That said, there are some really cool things, and we just are dipping our toes in the world of connection sites. So we are working on our third. It's a self-serve kiosk, but folks can connect to us for more intensive services. And we're currently set up at Grace Kitchen over in Pasco. Also partnering with Mid-Columbia Libraries in Benton City, which, even though they're not that far away, for folks it feels really far away. And then our third connection site will be the Prosser Mid-Columbia Library branch as well. So, yeah. Oh, thanks for dropping that in there, Nicole.
Yeah, there was lots of cool links on there. There are quite a bit of tabs, but they have a lot of information. That's really cool.
And spoiler alert, we're going to get a new website. It's a ways out, but we're getting a new website. So super excited about that. If you have feedback, please send it to me, because I can work directly with the product managers to say, hey, this needs to be here, or it needs to be different.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much, Crystal. We really, really appreciate it. Yeah, such wonderful work happening. I'm just thrilled to be able to share these resources. So thank you so much. And we will keep rolling on to our next presenter. Michael Delharo is a seasoned professional with a robust background in digital technologies, cultivated from a young age and further honed during his university studies. He began his career at Goodwill as a donation attendant in 2018, quickly advancing to managerial roles overseeing both retail and mission services teams. Michael is dedicated to leading his teams in developing impactful community programs with a particular focus on enhancing computer skills. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Michael. And Michael, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen. It should let you.
Okay, will do. And thank you so much. I want to say I appreciate everybody being here, and especially the information we have from our previous presenters as well. I've learned quite a bit just being here in attendance. So I'm excited to share what I know about Goodwill. And as she said, I had started my career with Goodwill in 2018. I graduated from college in 2016. I am fairly new into this type of environment, but there's so much that we are looking to offer and so much that I'm excited to share with you. Okay, want to make sure all the tech is working properly. Everybody can see this slideshow okay. We're looking at Caesar right now, meeting Caesar. He was a shopper at one of our donated store or Goodwill stores that was able to find one of those items he's looking for. And I have a feeling that for most of you, this is your experience with Goodwill. It was my first experience with Goodwill. I was back in the year a long time ago, 2010, I was going to my junior prom, and I was looking for a nice pair of slacks and maybe a nice button up. And Goodwill is a place to go. They have used goods. They have nice clothing that you can find and use, and it's supported by the community. But not many people know about the other side of that. And so I really, really would like to focus on what else there is about Goodwill here today with you, especially with our focus on digital equity in our communities. So my quick outline for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the founding of Goodwill as a whole, share some information about what does Goodwill look like on the executive side. How do we ensure that we are providing a community service to our communities that we operate in? Then I'll go into our retail divisions that we have here in our local community, our mission services, which I am a manager, of and the digital equity initiatives that we are looking forward to this year and have already begun starting with some of the community partners that we have here with us today. So starting out, the roots of Goodwill run pretty deep. It all started in 1902 with this dapper looking gentleman, Mr. Helms over here. And so he was a minister in the Boston area, and he was noticing that there are a lot of people who have the skills, have the desire to work, but don't necessarily know how to get connected with that work, or maybe there's just not the opportunities that they need. In particular, what he saw was that in the wealthier areas of his community, there was a lot of used items that were going to waste. They could have been repaired, but there was no skilled effort or dedication to accomplishing that goal. And so what he did is he went out into his community, he spoke with the poor and those who are looking for employment in order to help them gain the skills to repair these items and then bring them back into the community through selling those items. So it not only gave the community a second chance at using those items, but it also gave that community the skills to repair and recycle. So the philosophy of it's not a charity, we're not giving you these things, we're giving you the skills to accomplish this yourself. It's a hand up and not a hand out is our motto. And we do this through changing our community's lives through the power of work. So Goodwill has grown quite a bit since then. We don't have only one individual overseeing us. We have several individuals. We are not a single national organization. There is a GII, Goodwill Industries International, but each region of the United States in particular has its own autonomous region, board of directors, local staff, individual CEO who oversees each organization to make sure that this region is falling in line with what the community needs and what the community can support. We ensure that any donated item that comes to our organization is used to support our services in that community. And so there's something really exciting that I'll be mentioning towards the end of this that kind of ties back into what Mr. Helms did in the past. But I'm not going to spoil it now. I just think it's really exciting to see the parallel that we have now in our modern day in a way that was also utilized in the past. Before I get into our individual work here in this community, I wanted to share a video that comes from our GII team. It's a great video, especially focused on digital equity. It's a 10-minute long video, but we're not going to watch the whole thing. So I encourage you to watch it afterwards if you're interested. But let's see what some of these stories are all about. See what some of the work we have done in other communities.
I wanted to be in a team for almost like a year now. Whenever it was my birthday.
Oh. Let's try that again.
I wanted to be in a team for almost like a year now. Whenever it was my birthday, I asked my mom, can I get signed up for soccer? Whenever we ask her something, she'll always try to do it. She made my dream come true.
I'm originally from Jordan. I moved to US in 2011. My dream was to complete my education. I was in domestic violence situation with my ex-husband. In 2017, I got my divorce. He threw us on the street, me and my 4 children. He got everything from me.
I thought that I had done all the right things. I'd gotten married, I'd worked my way up into a nice role. I thought I was doing well. My life was completely disrupted when my husband was sentenced to life in prison. Now I'm a single mom with no career path. I ended up at the domestic violence shelter with the YWCA.
Yeah.
I remember exactly that feeling. I feel like I don't have anybody to ask or to talk to. And it's so embarrassing. But you know your children are watching. So you have to pull it together. And a lot of times you gotta hold these tears in.
I grieve the fact that there's so much lost potential in our communities. And I believe that that lost potential is there because people lack access.
I was at a point in my life where I survived what would have been life or death for someone else. What would have been life or death for me had I stayed. And I chose to make a life-changing decision by walking into a Goodwill, asking for some help. And when I walked out, I was handed an opportunity.
Most people know Goodwill for its over 3,000 stores because that's been their history with us, right? And over the years that we've grown into the largest workforce developer in North America. We have not only those 3,000 stores, we have 650 job centers.
As a client comes in, we connect them with the training programs that we have here. We have something that we call the ABCs. We want them to find a job and then a better job and then a career.
I was in the shelter when I heard about Goodwill program, so I had to take like an exam and pass it to get the scholarship for that program. So I was studying 16 hours a day. I was making sure that I have to work very hard because I don't want to go back to the shelter life. Yes.
It's always remarkable to me how many people with deep challenges in life are not very far away from a huge breakthrough if they can just get the right kind of support. Every day we see those stories of overcoming.
Coming into the Google program, I'd struggled for several years to try to stabilize my career. I tried boot camps and certificate programs prior, and I was unsuccessful in landing an IT role. I ended up back in customer service. And in the call center one day, I heard these IT guys talking about they made $35 an hour, and I completely disrupted the conversation. Like, you make what? You do what? You work for this company like me? So I asked the guys, what did I need to do to get into IT? And they were like, don't get a degree, go get a certificate.
You're the one that kissed him.
Chelsea is an amazing young lady. She came into the center and she had some barriers, but she was interested in the Google IT program and she was admitted and she soared.
The journey has changed my life in a way that I could have never envisioned. I'm an example of what persistence and resilience will get you.
So you got your second certificate recently?
Yes, matter of fact, I just got it last week, so
Really?
way to start. Yeah.
I got the Google Project Management. I just got it on December 2nd.
I'm going to stop that video right there, but that right there is the foundation of why I really encourage everybody to look into what Goodwill does and why I find it so valuable, the work that we do in our community. Because with this focus on achieving a digital skill, it's so relevant to what is going on in our modern day society. You need to have access to a computer. You need to know how to use the technology. And so I'll share more about that towards the end, but I do want to show where it all starts from. And that's with our retail divisions. Goodwill is founded on the idea that we want to support our community within the community and within our own organization as well. So most of our funding comes from the retail stores that many of you probably do know. And here in our current region that we're operating in, we have Kennewick, Ridgeland, Pasco, Hermiston. We have our College Place store, Wenatchee, and Sunnyside. And if the items that are sold at these stores do not make it through a 5 or 6 week cycle, they get sent to what is called our outlet stores. Again, going into the idea of reusing and recycling. They are sold by the pound. And depending on the item, they are then sold to outside companies to then salvage, scrap, or recycle. So we are giving these goods multiple opportunities to go back into the communities that we get them from. Some Goodwills also have an e-commerce or warehouse and logistics side to them as well. And that's something that we have here in the Tri-Cities. Our e-commerce office is located in our Pasco store. If we find any items that are particularly interesting that we think should be shared with those who cannot always make it to the Pasco store because transportation can be a problem in our wide area, then we put that online and people are able to buy, purchase, and bid on these items, very similar to how eBay works. Our next gear logistics is a new program that we're incorporating into our service to our community. It's focused on offering an opportunity for people to get knowledge in CDL driving, CDL certifications. And so by working through Goodwill, utilizing the tools that we have available, somebody who has no skills, no knowledge, but is interested in gaining those skills can work with us to provide pickup and hauls for local businesses and gain that certificate or that license to then move on to another organization in the future. That's something I'm very excited about as well, because it's definitely an area of interest, especially in our Tri-Cities area. So if we think about the retail divisions, all of them have the singular role or the goal to generate revenue to fund what we call our mission services program. So what has retail done? What are some of the numbers that we've had in the past? Well, this is 2023. We've had thousands, hundreds of thousands of e-waste and general goods recycled back into the community. Our e-waste program focuses on old TVs, old laptops, computers. When I was a donation attendant, I remember having to pick up the big tube TVs or projector screens that people had off the back of their trucks. Now we've turned to a more modern approach. It's more flat screen TVs, but this is all very important to provide a place to drop these off somewhere in your community. If you don't want to use your clothes anymore, if you need to find another home for them, Goodwill is the place you can go to do that. And what that does is it funds our job placement, or it funds the program that gets us job placements in our community. We work with those who are unemployed or who may have significant barriers to find work in what they want to do and develop themselves. So what's our mission services? We have a variety of them, and many of them are pretty similar to what we've heard about earlier today with our other presenters, the DVR, DDA programs. And we support our community through many of the same efforts that we find in those other companies as well. We have a housing program. We support people with their rent if they need to find a home. We have reentry programs that we supported in the past. The one section of this that I am a manager of is our Employment Connection Center, abbreviated to the ECC here. It is a location in our communities where anybody, no matter who you are, can go in and receive some assistance with digital skills or employment, job seeking skills. And I'll talk more about that on this next few slides, but I don't want to pass up the opportunity to talk about some of the other things that Goodwill does. Our nonprofit roundup to support the community. The Project Goodwill fashion show, some of you may have heard about. We have students from local high schools use items from Goodwill in order to put together a costume or an outfit based off of a theme. Last year was the 70s. And then the winner of that fashion show receives monetary prizes. We're looking to support foster care. We've done in the past, and very recently I've made a connection with a group who is looking to utilize our offices to provide information about becoming a foster care parent or foster care house in the future. And then our Columbia Connects Coalition, which is a wide-spanning coalition of other organizations, including WorkSource and other partners who are focused on advancing digital equity in our community. So our employment services. We have our referral-based programs. These are the DDA and DVR staff who assist with clients who may have some type of barrier or cognitive disability in finding work in the community. And I won't go into full detail because it does match a lot of the things that we've heard before. We go out into the community, we speak with businesses to find an opportunity for these folks to gain the hope that they're looking for through work. We want them to connect with other people through social work that they have. If you are finding a job, you're leaving to work in the community and you meet people and you find that opportunity to grow yourself, but also your confidence in your own skills by accomplishing the work that you've been provided to do. We've had internships with students from Rivers Edge High School and Legacy High School. They've come to work in our stores. They've come to work as a reception in one of our employment connection centers, learning those skills so they can develop themselves and take that forward with them into the future. We have a program that we call internally STEP program. These are our individuals who are working within our store. And many people know about that, about Goodwill. They think Goodwill has programs for people to work in their stores. And this is what generally their employment services are. But it doesn't only stop there. It also expands into our walk-in services. We offer job prep information. Where you want to know who's hiring in your community, you want to know how to get connected to them. We reach out to those hiring managers and find out who they're looking for and what they need. We have computer and internet access. We have interview practice. We have resume and application guidance, instruction. We teach people what is best to put on your resume, how to best present yourself when you have an opportunity to find work. And again, this walk-in service is available to everybody in the community at no cost. We additionally offer that same type of service to businesses. If they're looking to run hiring events utilizing our staff, we want to market their job opportunities to the community. If we want to utilize our office space to help them through hundreds of interviews, we've done that before, and we're looking to do that again here in the future. And a big part of this is also connecting them to other sources or services in the community. Because with our focus on employment, we realize that there are other needs that people have to meet before they can find a stable job. And so that's also what I'm interested in getting from here today. If you have any resources, you'd like to connect your clients to us for additional services, and we would like to connect our clients back to you to help support and develop them and give them that foundational stability that they need. So what's the really big thing that I'm excited to talk about? That is our digital equity initiatives. Back in 2005, digital equity initiatives was having a computer lab and having internet access. And that's not really anything most people need now. Our general community has access to the internet or a device through a nifty little gadget that a lot of people keep in their pocket. So we're able to access that. So we need to expand what we offer to our community. Because of COVID-19, we saw a lot of that taking shape very early on. Many of the job applications are now purely digital. Some of them use AI chatbots. How do you understand this change in how to find employment if you haven't ever looked for a job before? Or maybe you've had a long-term career and you're getting back into the job search. Or maybe you're a migrant from another country and you're coming to the United States and nothing is what you are used to doing. So our focus going into the future is to provide an equitable service, no matter where somebody is, to provide them those skills that they need to succeed in our modern world. Some of those programs that we've had in the past are Goodwill Connect. It was a statewide coalition of Goodwill teams who provided access to computers, access to digital skills training, and then also a personal computer for those who are a part of the program. As part of the video, we heard about the Google IT certificates. These are certificates offered through a connection with our Goodwill Employment Connection Centers. In the past, we provided a variety of classes that were free for somebody to enroll in through Coursera, and then they work on them on their own pace or with the guidance of one of our case managers. In the future, I'm very excited to say that we are looking at the opportunity to provide a Essentials for AI certificate, a 10-hour program where somebody can learn the basics of how to use AI programs to advance their proficiency in understanding the safety behind it, how to utilize it at work, and maybe what are some of the tools that they can use even if it's something for their job search, like a resume builder. These things are really growing in our community, and we want to be at the forefront of identifying what skills are needed for people to utilize them. In the future, we also have the Columbia Connects Coalition. We'll be working together to provide training, resources, and digital tools to a wide range of people in our community. And this is going to be done through partnerships with other organizations. We've already had the discussions with over 26 organizations who are interested in supporting us in this. We realize that this is not something we need to do on our own. We don't need to silo ourselves into the one-way approach. We know our communities, we know our clients, and we know how to support them. And we want to work with everybody in our community to advance this mission going forward. What is Goodwill doing right now, though, before this coalition? We are offering digital skills training to our community. And we've heard about that. We heard a little bit about that with WorkSource, going into their offices and providing a weekly class for those who want to learn basic computer or essential software skills. But it doesn't only stop there. We also offer this class weekly in our own offices and with other organizations such as Grace Kitchen, B5, and we're looking at opportunities with World Relief. We've realized that digital skills are needed for practically everything, and many people do not even have the ability to use a mouse or a keyboard. I've seen people hold mice upside down and not understand what each button does. This is the core component of what we want to teach. We want to build those foundational skills so they have the opportunity to excel either in higher education or in the workplace. So starting with our basic computer skills, going over a keyboard and mouse, and what are the computer terms? Practice with us. We have a mousercise exercise that we use, and somebody can get a certificate saying, wow, I passed, I know how to use a mouse now. Internet basics, what's the safety concerns that you should have while utilizing the internet? How do you use email? Uploading your resume? How do you respond to a job application response that a manager wants to speak with you? How do you do it properly? What's the correct way to approach this? Can you access your email? I don't know if many of you are working with clients who have an email already, but constantly we always hear, I don't know my password, or I don't know how to log in. It's just on my phone. We want to expand that. We want them to understand the range of options they have to access their own information. It's not just through your phone. It's not just through an automatic login. And through that, accomplishing everything that they need to do in their everyday life. And then for those who are interested, going back to the ABCs of goodwill, okay, I have a job, I understand email, I can use a computer to apply and finish my application. I want to move on to something more inspiring to myself. Well, come back to us and learn those essential software skills. You want to use Word, you want to use Excel, you want to use PowerPoint or Outlook in more options or more details that provide a skill that you're going to need for working in an office environment. This is where you can come to learn that. And again, this service is free to everybody in the community through the support of our retail stores. And I like this picture here. These are Grace Kitchen graduates who were provided with laptops from one of our partners, Interconnection, a refurbishment-based organization located on the west side of Washington State. They provided us with 10 laptops that we could provide to our digital literacy students. These individuals here had been through our classes over the course of many weeks and shown a development in their skills and now wanted to utilize that at home or in order to find work after their time with Grace Kitchen. So we were there to provide that to them. Some other pieces of community impact that I'd like to talk about. Juanita Nails. She's currently the owner of Juanita's Nails in East Pasco, supporting her family of 4 children and a fiance. So she chose downtown Pasco because of its cultural heritage and its community. It's something that she wanted to create a business in. And so working with us, she was able to understand digital technology in order to build her own business. She was provided a laptop and the peripherals and affordable internet or access to where to get affordable internet for her to develop her business. Additionally, the digital navigators during the Goodwill Connect time period worked with the Prescott School District. We were a part of their fair where they were offering community resources to everybody as a part of that school district. I believe in that event, we saw our biggest donation of Goodwill laptops of anybody in Washington State. And we provided over 60 laptops to families in that community. And they were able to understand and utilize those tools after digital skills training with us. And then what's happening this year, the things that I have been a part of, I have seen the development of our North Star Certificates program. These are the weekly classes that we provide to our community. At the end, they have an assessment where they take and they show that they've developed their skills and they get a certificate that says, yes, I can use Microsoft Word. Yes, I understand basic computer. Yes, I understand email. And just every time seeing these people go from, I'm scared to use a computer, I don't want to break it, to having the knowledge that they needed to support themselves. It's really inspiring. And that's really what keeps me inspired to develop that program further. As part of our support to job seekers, we've hosted several hiring events. Our most successful in the Pasco area was with Panda Express. They opened up 2 new locations in our area this year, and we were the location where they had the multitude of their managers from both Spokane and in the Tri-Cities areas meet with interested individuals who wanted to apply for the position. We had over 150 interviews happen on a single day. The first event we had for Panda Express over the course of 3 different events, 150 people that first day to come in and interview with these managers. And we had more to support the development of their new buildings. We also partnered with both WorkSource and CBC in the employment efforts of Amazon. They opened the new warehouse here recently, and they needed a lot of people. They needed 1,000 people. And so we came together as community partners to host multitude of weekend events for people who wanted to understand how to apply for Amazon, because again, it was a digital application. It's not paper. You can't talk to somebody. You can only interact with the computer. So Goodwill developed a slideshow utilizing the information garnered from WorkSource and CBC to make it presentable and understandable to clients who are interested in working there. We had a rotation of classes and events to support people through the application process at WorkSource, at CBC, and then every Friday night before those events, Goodwill had a presentation where we provided information beforehand so they were ready for that Saturday event. And it was a huge success, a huge success. We had several hundred people come to these events, and several hundred people have now found employment with Amazon year to date. So going back to what Goodwill does and what Goodwill would like to do in the future, we want to make a difference to the people in our communities, especially with a focus on the digital divide that we have and we are seeing with our people here because of their unique backgrounds, because of their varied history. And so we want to work together, find partners, organizations, clients who need us, and provide the skills or the classes or the partnership aspects that are needed in order to advance this going forward. And so I'd like to know if you have any questions for me. There is more information that I can provide based off of our DDA or DVR programs. If required, I can reach out to those managers and find a way to connect you. Or I'm more than happy to talk about our digital equity services for as long as you would listen to me. But I understand we're getting past lunch times for people. And so feel free to reach out anytime, and I'm more than happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate hearing all that Goodwill is doing. And yeah, we do have some time here for questions and discussion. If there are any questions specifically for Michael, or at this time we can go back, and if you have any questions for any of our presenters, we would love to hear those at this time. Oh, go ahead. I don't know.
Gave it the pause, but go ahead. I really appreciate hearing about the collaborations that are going on in the community to maximize the benefits to the communities that we serve. So thank you very much. And I really enjoyed hearing about the digital equity and some of the work that you're doing with that funding opportunity. All right, Danny, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I have a question that I think might be to all of our presenters if you all have different takes on it. But one thing that has been kind of present in my mind as we're going through these presentations is that we are often working with clients or customers with lived experiences and who are facing barriers to employment. And often those barriers to employment are eligibility requirements for these programs. But that can be really intimidating for someone to need to present information that demonstrates that they're eligible to participate in a program. And so for our community-based workforce that's having those conversations and might be connecting someone to your programs, do you have any advice for either documentation that they might need to demonstrate eligibility, or overcoming that as a hesitation for someone to engage with your services?
I'm really glad that you brought that up, Danny. I think it is core to the human experience and knowing that we are meeting folks sometimes on the worst day of their life, at some of the lowest points, and there is an extreme amount of vulnerability involved. And so I think one of the biggest key factors is having a real conversation. So back to that, not transactional, but getting to know them as a human. And that's part of our initial triage, is really taking them to a space and getting to know what the situation is. And then I think one of the keys to that is, as we're having that conversation, just being able to uncover those needs and increase comfort. But then, for example, if they don't qualify for something here at WorkSource, what does it look like to connect them? For example, if we needed to reach out to Michael and his team for a warm handoff, and try to minimize the number of times that that person has to retell the story and be re-traumatized. So that's one of the practices. Unfortunately, with eligibility, there isn't just a set list that we would give someone. We really need to have the conversation, customize, and walk the steps. But we do try to minimize the number of times that they're having to go through that. And I do want to share that part of the reason of not having just a list of documents, for example, is because we do have multiple partners, different eligibility requirements, different pots of money, and that sort of thing. And so I actually think it might make it a little bit softer to have the conversation and equip them, rather than hand them a list and be like, go home and get this and come back. So for what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of your programs are so nuanced that it seems like there's probably a place for anyone within the nuance of all of your programs, that even if they aren't eligible for, say, a DDS program, that they might be eligible for a different program, or for those self-serve skills or walk-in services. So thank you for that, Crystal. Yeah, it is probably a lot more complex than just, go find these documents, but I really appreciate that.
Well, and just quickly, I wanted to share, it also begs the importance of conversations like this and us continuing to maintain partnerships, for example, with Columbia Ability Alliance, and learn how we connect people, because there are going to be times that they don't fit into one bucket of funding for eligibility. And so how are we connecting them really matters. And that's on us as service providers and community partners to know each other. And so that's half the battle. I'm going to call it a battle. It's a battle for the good. It's for that human potential piece that was in Michael's video.
Absolutely.
Can I add a shameless plug here since it's quiet? One of the populations that Michael mentioned serving is justice involved individuals. And we also serve justice involved individuals, recognizing that's one of the barriers to employment. There is a community partnership being built here, a coalition, if you will, in the Tri-Cities. It is brand new, and we are looking for partners who would like to join forces in that realm. I know some of you were on the call, but a core group of folks to facilitate those meetings that will serve here in Benton and Franklin counties. And then also, if you're interested in being on the invite list for our first meeting, which we would anticipate probably late January, we would love to have you and have you join the conversation about how we're serving those folks and their families and connecting them to opportunity as they reenter.
Yeah, Crystal, will you go ahead and send me that information?
Yeah, do you mind dropping your email in the chat?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Crystal, we're involved with the statewide effort on that as well. Nicole is really deep in the weeds on it. So I'm excited to have the conversation with you guys as well.
Fabulous. And it's our partners with DOC who have really started that conversation. Jen, I can't remember her last name right now. It's killing me, but she has been part of that in Spokane, and they've seen some successful effort. So looking forward to standing something up here.
Well, that's incredible. What a high note to end on. I just love these learning collaboratives. Kyle was talking about going into his community center as sort of his uplift and the thing that just brings a smile to his face. And for me, that's these learning collaboratives and seeing the connections that we're making between organizations, between these programs, continuing to build those connections even between presenter organizations. And so we really, really appreciate all of our presenters. Thank you so much, Kyle, David, Crystal, and Michael for presenting today. We really, really appreciate you. Following the within the next few days, we'll send out the slides. So you have those for reference if you need to contact anyone. And that will include my contact information, which I'll just share briefly in case anyone has anything they'd like to reach out about. And then I will include, we do have a short survey that if you have an idea for a learning collaborative topic, some feedback about the format, anything that you think would be helpful for us to know as we move forward. We're really looking at figuring out what these learning collaboratives look like for 2025 for us. So this is a great time to hear your feedback, and you can fill that out at this QR code. But with that, I think that will wrap us up for the day. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with us. I really appreciate you all. And we will see you soon for our next one.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.